After Emo has just showcased their true insane powers, I have a very sneaky feeling that one, if not several of the Straw Hats are about to have their own inner demons unleashed as well, including the captain himself, Monkey D. Luffy. But all isn't lost quite yet, because there might be one person who can save all of them and turn things truly around. Now, why do I think this is gonna happen? Well, the Straw Hats are very rarely really in serious danger. They're the main characters, right? They've got the big fat plot armor. Oda would never go and kill any of them, and that's totally fair. I mean, I think that point is fairly valid, because as much as I'd love for him to execute someone like Usopp or Zoro, I just don't think it's really gonna happen. But death isn't the only thing that we must fear with the Straw Hats, because there's a fate way worse than just dying, and Emo is inflicting that right now on several characters that we know. And that very affliction, well, it's a loss of freedom and turning into a big, crazy, powerful demon thing. Now, I think it's fairly safe to say that we do know that Luffy's big goal is gonna be freedom for everyone, which is also genuinely the major theme and goal of One Piece as a whole. I mean, the reason Luffy wants to be Pirate King is because they are the most free person on the ocean, right? Luffy fights for freedom in literally every single arc, and he always spreads and in some cases pushes that ideology onto those around him, including his enemies. I mean, when you really think about it, he actually has a ton in common with his dad without even realizing it, considering that his father started both the freedom fighters and now the Revolutionary Army. And it even seems that that's why he didn't actually, kind of force raise Luffy into a revolutionary, because he wanted to let his son choose his own path. And so it does make a ton of sense, don't you think, that Emu, the opposite of the Sun God, would have a terrifying power that forces other people to work for them into a contract. Essentially, Emu's darkest and craziest ability so far is removing someone's free will via the Devil Contract and the Dami Reversi technique. And well, it's also very helpful that they can turn anyone that they want into massive demons, apparently. Okay, we shouldn't say anyone quite yet, that isn't really confirmed at this point, but if they can do it to Dory and Broggy without any resistance whatsoever, I'm pretty confident that characters like Robin, Nami, or Usopp wouldn't be too safe from their dark wrath either. I mean, you have to remember that these are the captains of one of the mightiest pirate crews ever, with over 1.8 billion berry bounties. And so ever since the Elbaph arc has just been completely escalating out of nowhere, these last few days I've been thinking, what could happen at the end of Elbaph that would really mess Luffy up here? Like, what could Emu really do that would defeat Luffy the same way that he was defeated, for example, on Sabaody? And, well, I do have the answer for you: brainwashing all the Straw Hats. And the reason that I've been thinking that is because this arc is giving me massive Sabaody deja vu. I mean, a wing of the Pirate King is here, the crew just escaped a powerful threat, and it's centered completely around the Celestial Dragons. And I just can't shake the idea that the end of Elbaph will see the Straw Hats split up somehow, and that Luffy's willpower will be truly frazzled, and he will have a major challenge before finally, going towards Laugh Tale. And really the only obvious way I think Emu could do that right now is by stealing some of the crew's freedom. I mean, that is the ultimate dagger in Luffy's side, and the easiest way that Emu could get the one-up on the new Sun God Luffy, who I think we can all agree is probably the single biggest threat to Emu overall at this point. So the question then is, what could that look like? And who would be the most likely victims here? Well, as I said, I do think that the first one up for grabs are any of the crew members currently captured by the Holy Knights, obviously. That means people like Nami, Robin, Usopp, Brook, or even Jinbei. Because I do think that these people are all subject to the mind-controlling dark powers that Emu is throwing around right now. They are also, very conveniently, mostly the quote-unquote weaker member of the crew, with maybe the exception of Jinbei, really. He's a former warlord with some truly astonishing haki and a higher bounty than Sanji at the moment, so he's probably chillin', I guess. Now, that's not to say that all of them are like super weak or anything, but I do think that Emu would have a fairly easy time taking over, say, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, and even Robin. I mean, they haven't explicitly displayed any signs of haki use except for Usopp and his one use of observation haki that he had during Dressrosa so far. I mean, all of them would be pretty easy pickings, and to be honest, it could work out in their favor at the end of things as well. I mean, I've talked about it in this video right here where I broke down the Straw Hats' potential demon inspirations, but I really didn't expect someone to show up like a few weeks later and start turning characters into literal demons. So let me catch you up to speed on what I think these characters could turn into if Imu got their greedy little dark paws on them. And since they're prominent main characters, I have a feeling that their transformations would be more unique, like for example the Gorosei's epic yokai form. So if Imu got hold of Usopp-sei, we could see him have a devilish awakening into a mighty Tengu. These long-nosed bird yokai are fierce warriors from Japanese mythology, and if you're a Naruto fan, they do look familiar because the form of Susanoo is also that of a Tengu. But also in One Piece we have Kozuki Sukiyaki, who also busts out a Tengu mask during the Wano arc, repping these mountain-dwelling tricksters. And let's just say that a Tengu Usopp would actually be kind of terrifying, since they are incredibly powerful warriors capable of flight and powerful deceit. Meaning that Usopp could now literally fly around sniping terrifying dark energy blasts, and it might even give him a major hockey boost, letting him master his own observation. Meaning that Usopp, your son, would be a beast and straight up could become the actual Sniper King if this were to happen. Moving over though to the next crybaby, Nami has the chance to unleash some truly demonic weather if Imu should take her over. I mean, I've theorized this before that Nami's best demon counterpart would be the Alamit, a female demon from Bulgarian and Macedonian folklore. They're known for using devastating storms and bad weather to loot the crops and vineyards of those who do them wrong, and the perfect combination of Nami's theft and weather-based abilities if I ever saw any, especially considering Nami mastered her weather tech on Weatheria and uses Zeus to rip Helisic lightning bolts at people. A weather demon would just be the absolute perfect upgrade for her. And I also just think that Nami might be one of the most tragic possessions because she's already been a prisoner without free will before. I mean, most of her life she was enslaved by Arlong, and seeing Imu take control of her would be absolutely heartbreaking, man. Like, that one would definitely mess with Luffy's head and get him pretty close to breaking. But I truly think that the final nail in the coffin here would be Nico Robin. Not only do I think that this is the most likely victim for several reasons, but I also think that her being turned into a demon would absolutely ruin Luffy and the rest of the crew. I mean, the man quite literally declared war to the world government back then to save her and her freedom, and if she was once again forced to fight now against the crew, bro, I would probably cry. Straight up, I'd be devastated, which is why I think Oda is fairly likely to pull this one off. I mean, let's face it, Robin's goal is in direct opposition to Imu. She wants to reveal the true history, and I don't know if you've noticed, but Imu loves to just full-on murder people who ask, you know, a little bit too many questions. Cobra asked about Lily. He's dead. Ohara, Robin's homeland, researched the true history. RIP those guys. Imu orders the destruction of the entire damn island. Imu's solution for people reading too much is just straight up death. But Robin, well, death isn't exactly the right option. She's more valuable to them alive, defeating Luffy both physically and mentally. And thematically, Robin turning into a super sexy succubus is like the same thing that Oda is basically already doing, really. I mean, her current strongest technique is the massive demon form Demonio Fleur. So imagine if that was her new baseline, and then she could get even bigger and scarier with her new advanced Demonio Fleur. I mean, that would actually just be pretty awesome to see, as much as I'd hate her being under Imu. And if you're a regular viewer, you will probably remember that I've recently talked about that there is a chance that if this happens, a couple of Straw Hats might hold the secret to saving the poor souls lost to Imu to begin with. I mean, first off, Brook with his awakened soul powers could just maybe free the spirits of those possessed by Domi Reversi. It's a real possibility. I mean, I'm not sure if you'd agree, but to me it does seem like the end of Elbaph is pointing really hard at him with the whole Gunko-Brook connection going on right now. But I do think there's also a chance that Chopper could potentially pull through the way he did with the Ice Oni virus in Wano and find a way to somehow heal or cure everyone from that possession. Or at least Brook might free their minds while Chopper fixes their transformed bodies, unless their transformed bodies are really, really cool. In that case, please don't do that, Chopper. Even though you look surprisingly good in the live action trailer, I'm still not 100% sure, but but I don't hate it. All right, but don't worry. I'm not just gonna sit here and rehash all my old stuff. I do want to suggest an even scary idea for the Straw Hats, because I think there is a non-zero chance out there that Emu says just screw it and doesn't turn most of the Straw Hats into demons. After all, they aren't as powerful as the giants, except for maybe like Jinbei, so there isn't a super big benefit in doing so besides breaking Luffy's mind. But if it's possible, I do feel like Luffy might actually just straight up turn Luffy himself into a demon, trying to restrict his freedom. And I actually do think that Elbaph has been hiding a lot of hints towards this the entire time. Let me show you what I mean. Luffy is the next sun god, right? He has the Nika fruit, hits the poses, and all the old heads like Saturn and Emu call him out as Nika, so they do clearly fear his power, and we do know that he is hella powerful based on what we've seen Gear 5 do so far, which we assume is still only the beginning of his true power. So the most efficient way to wipe that enemy off the map would just be using them as your own weapon, right? And the Elbaph arc has coincidentally had a very interesting subplot unfolding that lines up exactly with that potentially happening. All right, first off, remember the beginning of the arc, the weird one when Road was the sort of false idol, a fake sun god? Well, that was kind of the first showcase of the sun god in an evil light. Then a few chapters later, we meet Loki, another fearsome and destructive character who says that he is now the sun god and that he wants to destroy Elbaph. Now, that is two instances right off the bat where the Nika title is referred to as evil and dark and destructive, and then a couple of chapters later, in chapter 1136 here, Jarul says that many think of Nika as an evil, destructive god, and after all that, we then see Killingham create, yet again, an evil version of Nika from the nightmares of the children, meaning that not one, not two, not three, but 4 different times through 4 different characters, the sun god is portrayed as being potentially evil. And so what if all of that was just Oda's genius level foreshadowing for the rise of a real evil sun god, all thanks to Emu being here right now? I mean, instead of Luffy battling Emu and winning with his righteous power of light and imagination, he ends up losing here miserably, so badly that Emu is able to possess him and turn him into the demonic version of Nika that Elbaph truly fears, really dismantling what it means to be Nika by enslaving the warrior of liberation himself. I mean, just imagine it. I think it would be the perfect way to flip the entire Sabaody stuff on its head and complete the entire arc here. Plus, it would also open up a ton of room for Oda to tell a different kind of story, a section of One Piece where it's the Straw Hats and potentially Loki freeing Luffy this time. And this actually wouldn't be all that wild either, considering that the major arc that, you know, the end of Elbaph seems to be paralleling is Thriller Bark. Now, I definitely was neither the first nor the only person to notice that Emu's Domi reversal is very similar to Gecko Moria's Shadow Possession, right? I mean, the user just create a powerful army out of practically thin air with Dark Possession as the backbone. I mean, it's similar all the way down to the idea that the final boss was a possessed giant like Dory and Broggy are right now. And in case you don't remember, Luffy lost his shadow and was used against the Straw Hats in that arc too. Now, luckily, Nightmare Luffy whooped Ors, but that definitely wouldn't be the case here. I think it would be up to Zoro, Sanji, Loki, and maybe the rest of the crew to try and free Luffy, their own overpowered broken captain, from Emu's dark possession. Even the name Nightmare Luffy could just be a subtle hint, as Luffy is all about dreams, and there's a very popular theory that Emu's main power source might straight up be nightmares, the opposite, which would line up with Killingham's current involvement as well. And I don't know, maybe I'm just taking a big sip of copium here, but this doesn't feel too outlandish to me. Like, I'm curious what you think. I mean, I've talked about the idea that Moria's powers were probably setting up something crazy, like foreshadowing a reanimated Rox or Roger fighting on the villain side at some point, but the more and more I see Emu in action right now, I don't think old legends are gonna be the direction that Oda might go in with here. Let's honestly just have Naruto have that one. It needs something like that for its final saga to pay off, and here, there's now a chance for Oda to do something literally unheard of. He could make the final war be against Luffy, aiming to free him the way that Ace needed to be freed during Marineford, and the entire arc was just Luffy, no Straw Hats. This time it could be all Straw Hats, no Luffy. And if you want to sail with me, by the way, to go save Luffy, consider joining the Ohara crew over here on Patreon. I mean, you'll get access to so much exclusive content, but you'll also help me free Luffy from the dark binding that might happen, so believe it. And a shout out to everyone who already supports the channel. We have also, if you don't want to pay anything, a free newsletter with everything going on in the One Piece world, from anime to manga to live action to anything Oda's up to. All right, with the Patreon plug out of the way, I do know that it seems like a little bit of a long shot, but if Imu actually does end up possessing Luffy, the final war could actually be the most insane battle of all time. I mean, it seems unheard of to make Luffy evil, but this could be what his true purpose is at this point in the story. Throughout everything we've been through, he saved everyone and anyone from the chains that bind them. He stopped Crocodile and Alabasta, Enel and Doflamingo and Skypiea and Dressrosa, and obviously nobody could forget the tyrannical reigns of Kaido and Big Mom. He's created a massive grand fleet with several allied kingdoms like Fishman Island, Zou, and Wano Kuni. So what if the point of all of this wasn't to get them on his side for a battle against someone else, but to inspire them to do the same thing that he did for all of them? Instead of them all rallying behind Luffy to stop Imu, maybe they all first have to rally together to free Luffy from Imu first. I am losing my mind, man. This idea absolutely goes crazy to me. Dark God Luffy could straight up create the perfect payoff for so many different loose threads in the story at this point. Luffy is supposed to destroy Fishman Island, right? Well, we thought it would be him breaking down the Red Line in an effort to unite the oceans, but like, I don't know, maybe it's straight up Imu saying, I need Poseidon gone or bring me Poseidon, and Luffy just levels the entire place under their orders. Wano's borders were kept up by Momonosuke, but Luffy could forcibly tear them down, and right now there is nobody strong enough to stop him in his tracks, besides maybe one person. As you can tell, my mind is definitely on a mildly fever spiral after everything that's been going on. I'm having fun with so many scenarios, so forgive me for all of this, but what if this is how Oda reunites Shanks and Luffy? Like, what if Shanks in the 11th hour has to be the one to save Luffy from Imu? Like, he could be the one who leads the Straw Hats into their final battle, and like he did in chapter 1, he could sacrifice himself to save Luffy and set up the new dawn. And God, I mean, yes, we're getting very wild here, but that would actually be the sickest thing of all time. Like, he didn't make it to Marineford in time to save Ace, but he could invade Marijua in time to save Luffy. He could truly save the next generation by saving the kid who was destined to become the next Pirate King one more time. And obviously we've theorized time and time again that Shanks would die by Blackbeard's hand, but yo, wouldn't this be so much worse and so much more awesome? I mean, Shanks would be the perfect figurehead to lead a mass war the way that Whitebeard did, right? Nobody on the ocean has as much street credibility as this boy, and even the Marines fear and respect him. And if the Straw Hats and the Red Hair Pirates and who else teamed up to save Luffy, they could fully lead an invasion the likes nobody has ever seen. Former Roger Pirates, allied kingdoms, and so many different pirate crews would unite to save Luffy or help the Red Hair Pirates too. Not one, not two, but 3 Yonko crews could definitely sail to defend Luffy at this point if Shanks was in charge, because you damn well know that Shanks could get Buggy and Mihawk on his side if the fate of the world was at hand, right? And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting super amped with this idea for no reason, but that's the fun of theorizing. I feel like this is not off the table, it's a real possibility, and you know it would be super hype as well, even if it, you know, just a part of this became true. But if it doesn't happen, there is another even more likely option, because we could be approaching another major time skip in the story, and that would also be the sickest thing ever. Like, I'd be down for either. So if you want to know why this is very likely going to happen as well, you can check out that video where I break down everything that's pointing to that and the power-ups that Luffy's gonna get, because either way, you'll want to know everything you can going into these next few chapters, which are gonna be crazy. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks so much for all our wonderful Patreons. Again, check it out if you want more from me and my crazy thoughts. All right, with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.